The number one mistake that causes seniors to lose mobility. And how to fix it for good. Imagine waking up one day, sitting in your favorite chair, and realizing you can't stand up without pushing off with your arms. It feels like your legs just don't have the power they used to. At first, you don't think much of it. You start using the armrests more, maybe leaning on a table for support. But then, one day, you find yourself avoiding lower chairs altogether, struggling to get out of a car, and relying on others to help you up. This isn't just aging, it's the consequence of a small, unnoticed mistake that millions of seniors make every day. A mistake that silently steals mobility, limits independence, and leads to serious injuries. But here's the good news, it's completely preventable, and today, I'll show you exactly how to fix it. The habit that silently steals your mobility. It starts as something small. You sit in a deep, cozy chair, and without thinking, you push off with your arms to stand up. No big deal, right? But here's the problem, every time you do this, you're training your body to rely on your arms instead of your legs. And over time, your legs weaken. Fast forward a few years, and one day, you realize you can't get up from a chair without pushing off. Suddenly, simple things, standing up, getting out of bed, using the toilet, become real challenges. This is how mobility loss sneaks up on you. The chain reaction that leads to dependence. Once your legs start to weaken, your body compensates in all the wrong ways. You start using your arms for everything, pulling yourself up, grabbing onto furniture, pushing off the bed. But your arms were never designed to handle this kind of work long term. This extra strain can lead to shoulder injuries, like rotator cuff tears, which make mobility even harder. The result? You begin avoiding movement altogether. And the less you move, the faster you lose strength. It's a vicious cycle that ends with a walker, a wheelchair, or needing help for basic tasks. How a simple shift in technique can change everything. Here's the good news. You can stop this downward spiral right now with a simple habit change. From this moment forward, make a commitment, never use your arms to stand up again. Instead, train your legs to do the work they were built for. It all comes down to positioning and momentum. The common mistake that forces you to use your arms. Most people sit too far back in their chairs before trying to stand. The further back you are, the more your weight shifts behind your heels, making it physically impossible to stand up without pushing with your hands. This is why seniors instinctively reach for their armrests. But what if you adjusted your position before standing? The nose over toes trick to stand effortlessly. Try this instead. Step 1. Scoot your hips forward to the very edge of the chair. Step 2. Place your feet directly under your knees. Step 3. Take your hands out of the equation, cross them over your chest or hold them out in front of you. Step 4. Lean forward slightly, bringing your nose over your toes. This shifts your center of gravity into the perfect position. Step 5. Push through your legs and stand up. The moment you shift your weight forward, standing becomes dramatically easier. And once you master this technique, you'll never need to push off with your arms again. Why this small change keeps you independent? Think of a person you know who struggles to get up from a chair. Maybe it's a parent, a grandparent, or even yourself. Every time they struggle, they're losing confidence in their ability to move freely. The more they depend on their arms, the faster their leg strength declines. and the closer they get to needing assistance for basic movements. But it doesn't have to be this way. Imagine you're 80 years old. You wake up in the morning, swing your legs out of bed, and stand up effortlessly, no struggle, no pain, no help needed. That's the future you're training for when you make this one small change today. What to do if standing is still too hard? If this technique still feels difficult, start with a higher surface. Use a chair with firm support and a slightly higher seat. You can even place a few towels on the seat to raise it. As your legs get stronger, lower the seat height until you can stand up from any chair without assistance. The best time to start is now. Don't wait until mobility becomes a problem. Make this change today, every time you stand up. Do it without your arms. Over time, this one simple habit will keep your legs strong, maintain your independence, and protect your future mobility. How a small habit turns into a big problem. It starts so subtly that most people don't even notice. You push off the armrests to stand, just like you always have. But over time, your legs stop doing the work they're meant to do. One day, without realizing it, you can't get up without using your arms. And the worst part, you don't even know when it happened. The hidden danger, losing your independence without realizing it. Meet Mr. Thompson, a 72-year-old retired teacher. A few years ago, he could get up from any chair without thinking. But over time, he started using his hands for a little extra push, just to make it easier. Eventually, he relied on his arms for every movement. One day, he visited his doctor and was asked to stand up without using his hands. He couldn't do it. His legs had lost the strength they once had. That moment hit him like a wake-up call. This is how independence slips away, one small habit at a time. Why your arms aren't built for this job. When you start using your arms instead of your legs, you force your shoulders and upper body to handle a job they were never designed for. Your shoulders are built for movement, reaching, lifting, and carrying, not for repeatedly pushing your entire body weight up from a seated position. This unnatural strain can lead to chronic shoulder pain, rotator cuff injuries, and even arthritis. Picture this, you're at the dinner table, and you push yourself up with your arms. It feels normal. But now your shoulders ache. Over time, that minor discomfort turns into sharp pain when lifting grocery bags, reaching for a shelf, or even getting dressed. This is what happens when you force your arms to do a job meant for your legs. The long-term effects, a vicious cycle of weakness. Step 1. You start using your arms to help you stand. Step 2. Your legs stop getting the exercise they need. Step 3. Your leg muscles weaken. Step 4. Now, standing without using your arms feels impossible. Step 5. You avoid standing as much as possible because it feels like a struggle. Step 6. You start sitting longer, walking less, and losing more mobility. Step 7. Eventually, you need assistance for things you used to do effortlessly. The scary part. This cycle happens faster than most people expect. The moment you realize you've lost strength. Imagine this, you're visiting a friend's house, and they have a soft, low couch. You sit down. But when it's time to stand up, you can't push yourself up without grabbing onto something. You laugh it off, saying, "Wow, this couch is deep." But deep down, you realize, this isn't about the couch. It's about you. Your legs aren't strong enough anymore. And once that happens, normal activities getting out of bed, using the bathroom, standing up from a car, suddenly become challenges. Why you must stop this habit today. If you continue relying on your arms, you're training your body to become weaker. The good news: you can stop this decline right now. The next time you stand up, commit to using your legs only. At first, it might feel awkward, even difficult. But every time you do it, you're rebuilding strength. The difference between independence and dependence starts with this one small habit. Your shoulders weren't built for this. Your shoulders are incredible, designed for flexibility and movement, not for pushing your entire body weight up every time you stand. When you force them to do the job your legs should be doing, you're asking for trouble. The more you use your arms to stand, the more stress you put on your shoulders. And eventually, something gives. Meet Mrs. Patel, a painful wake-up call. Mrs. Patel, a 68-year-old grandmother, never thought twice about how she stood up from a chair. She always pushed herself up with her arms, until one day, she reached for a cup on a high shelf and felt a sharp pain shoot through her shoulder. It turned out she had a rotator cuff tear, an injury that made simple tasks, brushing her hair, getting dressed, even driving, painful and frustrating. Her doctor traced it back to years of using her arms instead of her legs to stand. What started as an unconscious habit turned into a painful, limiting injury. Rotator cuff injuries, the silent consequence. The rotator cuff is a group of muscles and tendons that keep your shoulder joint stable and allow smooth movement. It's strong but not designed to repeatedly push up your body weight. Over time, the constant strain from using your arms to stand wears down the tendons. The result? Inflammation, tears, and chronic pain, all from something that could have been avoided. How it starts? The warning signs you shouldn't ignore. A dull ache in your shoulder after standing up. Difficulty reaching overhead or behind your back. Weakness when lifting everyday objects, like a gallon of milk. A clicking or grinding sensation when moving your arm. These small signals are early warning signs that your shoulders are handling stress they shouldn't be. Ignore them, and you're risking a full-blown rotator cuff tear, which can take months, sometimes years, to recover from. Why surgery is the last thing you want. A torn rotator cuff isn't just painful, it's debilitating. In severe cases, surgery is the only option. And here's the worst part: recovery is brutal. You'll spend weeks in a sling, months in rehab, and everyday activities, like lifting your grandchild or reaching for a plate, become impossible. Even after surgery, there's no guarantee your shoulder will ever be as strong as before. The slippery slope to bigger problems. Once you injure your shoulder, you start avoiding movements that cause pain. That means fewer activities, less exercise, and more time sitting. And the more you sit, the weaker your legs become, which makes standing even harder. Now, instead of just needing to strengthen your legs, you're stuck dealing with a double problem: weak legs and damaged shoulders. This is how small habits snowball into major mobility issues. How to save your shoulders, starting today. The solution is simple: stop using your arms to stand up. Next time you rise from a chair, focus on using your legs instead. At first, it might feel difficult, but that's a sign your legs need the work. Strengthen them now, and you'll protect your shoulders and your independence for years to come. The hidden setup that makes standing harder than it should be. Most people don't realize that where they sit in a chair completely changes how difficult it is to stand up. If you start too far back, Your weight shifts behind your heels, making it almost impossible to stand without using your arms. You try to push forward, but your body isn't in the right position, so instinctively, you grab onto the armrests, the table, or even someone's hand for support. Meet Mr. Johnson, trapped by his own chair. Mr. Johnson, a 74-year-old retired mechanic, never thought twice about how he got up from a chair. He had a favorite recliner, deep, soft, and comfortable. Over the years, he noticed getting up from it felt harder and harder. One day, he found himself completely stuck. He couldn't get up without someone pulling him forward. What went wrong? It wasn't just age. He had trained his body into weakness by sitting too far back and relying on his arms instead of his legs. The physics of a bad starting position. Think of a seesaw. If you sit too far back, the balance is off, and you have to use extra effort to move. The same happens with your body when standing up. If your weight is behind your heels, your legs can't generate enough force, so you compensate by using your arms. But here's the problem: the more you rely on your arms, the weaker your legs get. How this mistake turns into a bigger problem: you struggle to stand. So you start avoiding certain chairs. You begin preferring armrests and higher seats for easier standing. You lose leg strength because you're not using it enough. You start needing assistance to get up from low chairs, couches, or even the toilet. One day, you realize you can't stand without pushing off at all. The quick fix that changes everything. Next time you sit down, don't get too comfortable too far back. Instead, before standing, scoot your hips to the edge of the chair. Make sure your feet are directly under your knees, not stretched out in front. Cross your arms or place them on your lap to stop yourself from pushing off. Lean forward, nose over toes, to shift your weight into the perfect position. Press through your legs and stand up effortlessly. Test yourself right now. Try getting up from where you're sitting right now without moving forward first. Feels difficult? Right? Now, shift to the edge of the seat and try again. You'll feel the difference immediately. That's the power of positioning. The small change that keeps you strong. This one simple adjustment, starting from the front edge of the chair, can keep your legs strong and prevent a downward spiral into dependence. The best part: it works instantly. Make this your new habit, and you'll stand up stronger every single time. The small shift that makes standing effortless. Most people don't think about how they stand up, they just do it. But if you struggle to rise from a chair, the problem isn't your age or your strength. It's your positioning. Sitting too far back forces you to fight against your own body weight, making it feel like you're lifting a ton. The fix: scoot to the edge of the chair first. This one small change gives you leverage, momentum, and power, so you can stand without struggling or using your arms. Meet Mr. Davis, a daily battle with his chair. Mr. Davis, a 70-year-old retired firefighter, had spent his life in peak physical condition. But recently, he noticed something troubling: getting up from a chair felt like a workout. Every time he tried, he had to rock back and forth or use his arms to push himself up. Frustrated, he assumed he was just getting older. But when his physical therapist watched him, she pointed out one simple mistake: he was starting too far back in the chair. The moment he learned to shuffle to the edge first, everything changed. Suddenly, standing up felt natural again. Why your positioning makes or breaks your movement. Imagine trying to jump from a sitting position with your feet stretched out in front of you. Impossible. Right? That's exactly what happens when you don't shift forward before standing. Your feet need to be under your knees, not in front of them, to generate the force needed to stand up smoothly. The power of momentum, why scooting forward works. When you shift to the edge, your weight moves forward, putting you in an ideal position to rise. With your feet directly under your knees, your legs can push straight up instead of straining at an awkward angle. This eliminates the need to push with your arms, saving your shoulders from unnecessary stress. Think about getting off a low couch. If you stay seated all the way back, you're stuck. But the moment you lean forward and position your feet correctly, your legs take over, and standing up becomes effortless. Step by step, the perfect standing technique. Step 1, scoot to the front edge of the chair. Step 2, place your feet directly under your knees, not in front. Step 3, cross your arms over your chest or keep them in your lap to stop yourself from pushing off. Step 4, lean forward so your nose moves over your toes. This shifts your center of gravity. Step 5, push through your legs and stand up smoothly. Try it right now, wherever you're sitting. Test this technique. First, try standing up without shifting forward. Feel the struggle. Now, scoot to the edge. Plant your feet under your knees. And try again. It's a game changer. Why this simple habit keeps you strong for life. Most people lose mobility not because of age, but because they stop using their muscles correctly. Standing the right way ensures your legs stay strong, your body stays balanced, and you maintain independence for years to come. The secret to standing up effortlessly. If you've ever struggled to stand from a chair, chances are your weight was in the wrong place. The key to making standing effortless: nose over toes. This simple cue shifts your center of gravity forward, putting your body in the perfect position to stand up using your legs instead of your arms. Meet Mrs. Thompson, the woman who couldn't get off her couch. Mrs. Thompson, a 73-year-old retired school principal, started noticing that getting up from her favorite recliner was getting harder. She had to rock back and forth, push off the armrests, and sometimes even call her grandson to help. Frustrated, she assumed it was just aging. But her physical therapist gave her one simple trick: nose over toes. The next time she tried to stand, she leaned forward so her nose was directly over her toes. And just like that, she stood up without a struggle. Why this works: the science of balance and power. Your body moves like a lever. If your weight is too far back, your legs don't have the leverage to lift you. But when you shift forward, your weight moves over your feet, so your legs can do the work. Your center of gravity aligns naturally, reducing effort. You eliminate the need to push off with your arms, which weakens your shoulders over time. Think about jumping. If you tried to jump straight up while leaning backward, you wouldn't get off the ground. But when you lean slightly forward, that's when your legs fire up and do their job. Common mistakes that make standing harder. Leaning back while trying to stand. This forces you to push with your arms. Keeping your feet too far forward, you lose balance and struggle to rise. Sitting up too straight without shifting forward, your legs don't get the momentum they need. How to master nose over toes in 5 steps. Step 1, shuffle to the edge of the chair. Step 2, place your feet directly under your knees. Step 3, keep your hands off your legs, cross them over your chest or hold them forward. Step 4, lean forward until your nose is directly over your toes. Step 5, push through your legs and stand up smoothly. Try this test right now. Sit back in your chair and try standing up without leaning forward first. Feels tough, right? Now. Reset, scoot to the edge. Bring your feet in. And lean forward so your nose is over your toes. Now stand. It's night and day. Why this one trick keeps you strong and independent. Every time you stand the right way, you train your legs to stay strong and keep your body balanced. Small habits like this add up, making the difference between staying mobile and needing assistance. The right way to sit without straining your joints. Most people don't think about how they sit down. They just drop into a chair, letting gravity do all the work. But here's the problem: plopping down weakens your legs, strains your knees, and can even lead to back pain. The solution: reverse the standing motion, nose over toes. Bend the knees slowly, and control your descent. Meet Mr. Reynolds, the man who used to crash into chairs. Mr. Reynolds, a 75-year-old former construction worker, always sat down the same way, fast and hard. He thought nothing of it until one day. His knee gave out as he landed in a chair, sending a sharp pain through his leg. His doctor told him that years of uncontrolled sitting had put unnecessary stress on his joints. The fix: learning how to sit with control. Once he started using the nose over toes method in reverse, the pain eased, and he felt stronger every time he sat down. Why sitting down wrong can cause problems. Dropping into a chair sends shock through your knees and lower back. Leaning backward first throws off balance, forcing you to grasp for armrests or risk falling. Letting gravity take over weakens leg muscles over time, making it harder to stand back up. The safe, strengthening way to sit down. Step 1. Start in a standing position with your feet hip-width apart. Step 2. Shift your weight slightly forward, nose over toes. Step 3. Begin bending your knees while sticking your hips back as if reaching for a chair. Step 4. Keep your movement slow and controlled, no collapsing. Step 5. Lower yourself until your glutes touch the chair. Then relax. Done right. This movement activates your leg muscles instead of straining your joints, keeping you strong rather than dependent. Try this challenge right now. Stand up and sit down without using your hands. If you struggle, that's a sign your legs need this exercise. Repeat it daily, and you'll build the strength to sit and stand with ease, no assistance needed. The difference between strength and struggle. Every time you sit correctly, you're training your legs, protecting your knees, and improving your balance. People don't lose mobility overnight, it happens through years of bad movement habits. But fixing this one small thing today can keep you independent for years to come. The simple trick to make standing up easier. Struggling to stand up doesn't mean you've lost your strength forever. It just means your body needs the right setup to rebuild it. If standing feels like a battle, don't force it, adjust your environment first. The higher the seat, the less effort it takes to push up. That's why a higher chair or even a stack of towels can make a huge difference in retraining your legs. Meet Mrs. Garcia, from Stuck to Standing Again. Mrs. Garcia, a 78-year-old retired nurse, found herself trapped in low chairs. Whether it was her couch, her car, or a restaurant seat, getting up felt like climbing out of a hole. She started avoiding certain chairs altogether, choosing only ones with armrests so she could push off. Her physical therapist gave her one simple fix: practice with a higher chair first. She started using her dining chair instead of her recliner, then gradually lowered the height by removing cushions. Within weeks, she could stand up from any seat, without needing to push off. Why a higher seat helps you stand better. Less distance to travel the closer you are to standing. the easier it is to rise. More power from your legs, a higher position keeps your knees and hips aligned for an effortless push. No need to rely on arm strength, encourages your legs to do all the work. Rebuilding strength naturally. How to make any chair leg friendly. Use a firm, high chair, avoid deep cushioned seats that sink too low. Stack towels or a cushion if your seat is too low. Adding height makes the movement easier. Adjust over time as your strength improves. Gradually remove the extra height to challenge your legs. The step-by-step approach to regaining strength. Step 1. Start with a higher chair where standing feels comfortable. Step 2. Practice standing using only your legs, no hands. Step 3. Once it feels easy, lower the seat slightly, remove towels or switch to a lower chair. Step 4. Keep progressing until you can stand up from any seat, even the couch. Try this right now. Find the lowest seat in your house and try standing from it. Tough. Right now. Add a cushion or use a higher chair and try again. Feels easier. That's your starting point. The goal is to strengthen your legs so you can eventually rise from any position, no struggle. No extra support. Small adjustments. Big results. If standing up feels impossible, don't give up, change the setup, not the goal. A simple adjustment like raising the seat can keep you moving, keep you strong, and keep you independent for years to come. The daily habit that keeps you moving. Losing mobility doesn't happen overnight, it's the result of small, repeated habits that weaken your body over time. But the good news, you can reverse it the same way, with simple, daily actions that keep your legs strong and your body moving. Practicing the right way to sit and stand every day isn't just about making today easier, it's about ensuring you stay mobile and independent for years to come. Meet Mr. Anderson, from struggling to standing tall. Mr. Anderson, a 74-year-old former truck driver, had always been strong. But after years of relying on his arms to stand up, he realized he could no longer get up from his favorite chair without pushing off. He thought it was just aging, but really, it was a habit problem. His physical therapist challenged him, for the next month, every time you stand, do it without using your hands. At first, it was tough. But by the end of the month, something incredible happened. He could stand up effortlessly again. One small daily change brought back the strength he thought he had lost forever. Why consistency is the key to independence. Mobility doesn't just disappear, it fades when muscles aren't used enough. When you stop using your legs to stand, your body adapts to the easier way, making your muscles weaker. The longer you rely on pushing off with your arms, the harder standing becomes, until one day, you physically can't do it anymore. That's how people go from walking on their own to needing a walker or wheelchair. The simple habit that rebuilds strength. If you want to maintain mobility and independence, train your legs every single day by doing what they were designed to do, lifting you up. Every time you stand up, do it without using your hands. Use the nose over toes method to shift your weight forward and engage your legs. Practice standing up and sitting down 10 times in a row. It's one of the best ways to build leg strength without needing a gym. What happens when you stick with it? Week 1, standing without using your arms feels hard. You might struggle. That's normal. Week 2, your legs start adjusting. Standing feels a little easier. Week 3, you notice daily activities feel smoother, getting out of bed, standing from the toilet, getting out of the car. Week 4 and beyond, you don't even think about it anymore, your legs are doing their job again. And you feel stronger. The test, Can you stand up without help? Here's a challenge: sit in a chair without armrests and try standing up without using your hands. If you can't do it, this is your wake-up call. Start today. Train your legs before you lose the ability to use them. The difference between struggling and staying strong. This isn't just about standing up. It's about keeping your freedom. People don't lose mobility because of age alone, they lose it because they stop using their muscles the way they were meant to be used. Practicing this habit daily ensures that when you want to move, you still can. Mobility is not just about movement, it's about freedom. It's about getting up whenever you want, walking wherever you choose, and living without fear of losing your independence. And it all starts with one simple habit: standing up the right way. Every single time. Don't wait until standing becomes a struggle. Start today. The next time you get up from a chair, commit to using your legs, not your arms. Master the nose over toes technique. Adjust your seating when needed. And train your legs to keep you strong for life. If you found this helpful, hit like. Share this with someone who needs it. And subscribe to Golden Age Health for more life-changing tips to keep you active, independent, and thriving. Your future self will thank you.